Good evening, everyone. Such a
Good
pleasure to
evening,
have you
Gaurav.
all. Good evening, Amit. It's such a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to have you all on this beautiful occasion where we are celebrating the International Coaching Week 2020. As we all are under the influence of lockdown, so when we were wondering what should we do and how can we serve the community of coaching in the country, and that's where we came up with this plan that during the International Coaching Week, we should bring to you the world-class coaches, the world-class speakers who are doing some significant work in their own spaces. Just to tell you a little bit about International Coach Federation was started in the year 2000, in the year 1995, with the primary objective to standardize and bring the best as far as the coaching is concerned. My name is Gaurav Arora. I represent X Monks. X Monks is an ecosystem where we bring to you the warrior monks in their in diverse spaces who are doing some significant work uh, and making a difference in the lives of the people. The primary objective of X Monks is personal transformation leadership development, whether you are a housewife or you are a working professional. If you're working with one of the big fours or you're working with the SME sector, what we assure you is during this next 7 days, we are going to bring to you some world-class coaches and leaders which are going to create a significant impact in our thought process. Now, without taking much of your time, let me just take this privilege and to introduce to you Amit Chawla. I will go to his topic as well and what he's going to talk about, but let me tell you, Amit is a very dear friend. I've known Amit for over 3-4 years now, and I've seen him climbing this beautiful journey and picking up the milestones and achieving them one after the other. He's definitely one of my sorts of inspiration, and that's the reason when we were actually bringing the speakers together, I said this event would be incomplete in case we don't have Amit, because he does not only going to talk about coaching, he's going to talk about a very special niche, what we call as clarity coaching. Ladies and gentlemen, if I were to ask you, and if you were to raise your hand, I will not be able to I will not be able to listen to you, but I'm sure deep down we all are seeking for clarity, isn't it? Why? Because whether we like it or not, we all are looking forward to get something that could help us to elevate our game. Now, the interesting part is on this webinar, we have got over 100 people, not only joining from India, but joining from different parts of the world. We have got people joining us from Bulgaria. We have got people joining us from the US. We have few of my friends joining us from the UK. So it's such a sheer privilege for me. I can't thank you enough for trusting us once again. Few of you have already known my journey. So I will talk about my journey during the webinar that I would be leading. But you know, I'm talking to you because you are the one who actually supported me when I needed the support. And similarly, as I started walking, as they say, you start your journey alone. And as you walk your journey, tum chalte rehte ho aur karwa banta rehta hai. And during this journey itself, Amit is the one who supported me as well. So Amit, thank you so much. It's such a privilege to have you here. Amit is going to talk about move from confusion to clarity. And what he's going to talk about is that clarity is the fuel that motors your business growth. The world famous achievers credit their success to their clarity of thought, intent, and action. Yes, we are talking about three things. We are talking about thoughts, intent, and action. Learn to gain the razor sharp clarity in all the areas of your life, whether it's your personal life or your professional life, whether you are struggling in your spiritual health or you're struggling with your finances, whether you are struggling with your relationship or you're struggling with your um, relationship with the world, right? Here we have got amazing speakers who are going to contribute throughout this week. Let me just quickly talk about the primary three takeaways that you can actually expect from this next 75 minutes conversation. In this 75 minutes of conversation, we are going to have Amit going to talk about anywhere between 50 to 55 minutes, and then we are going to spend around 15 to 20 minutes on the question answer round. The format is once Amit starts, we are going to take a break in exactly 25 minutes. Once that is done, I'll be reading all the questions that you have from Amit or from ex-monks and our team members. And we are going to address that for 5 minutes. And again, we are going to close the window and then we are going to open the window at the end of the session, because I'm sure, as you know, if Amit is talking to me, I would have a lot of questions, because I would not let Amit go, because I know he's the man who's going to help me to get all the clarity that I'm expecting, that I'm seeking in my life. So, what are the primary key takeaways that you can expect from this conversation? The first one is what Amit is going to talk about is the journey of transitioning from corporate career to business clarity coach. I am sure, if not all, there are few people on this call as well who are looking forward to jump into this bandwagon and become a coach and make a significant difference. If you are expecting something like that, I assure you, he's the best guy in the country today. The second one is how coaching brings clarity of direction to your life, career, and business. Now, there are three domains all of us are struggling in, whether it's your personal life or it's career or it's business, right? Isn't it? And if you are struggling in either one of them or all of them, no worries. In just 2 minutes' time, you will have one of the finest experts in the country today. The third one is we'll get to hear the real life stories of impact due to business clarity coaching. Guys, let me tell you, he's not only working with individuals, currently he is working with few of the startup founders, those founders you would be reading in newspapers on day-to-day basis. And he's the one who's sitting next to them and discussing, hey, what should be the next step for you? Whether you're struggling under the influence of COVID-19 or you're running a big business house, he's the man for you, right? Without wasting your much time, ladies and gentlemen, it's a sheer honor and a privilege to introduce to you Amit Chawla, move from confusion to clarity. Amit Chawla. Amit, thank you so much. Over to you, my friend.
Thanks, Gaurav. I think Gaurav, you you have embarrassed me in front of so many people. I think you have added more flavor to what I really do. So thanks for introducing me in a big forum like this. And by the way, people, let me tell you this: that Gaurav is the reason why I'm here, and Gaurav is the reason why my life actually changed. So, in fact, I'll tell you one incident about 2 months back. I met him and asked him, Gaurav, how many people have you impacted in your career? And I was thinking he'll tell me, thousands or 500,000, 1,500, some people. But he said, Amit, probably 30. And I wondered at that time that how can Gaurav only impact 30 people, right? And that made me think that probably I was overestimating myself, thinking that I have impacted so many people, but Gaurav is saying only 30. And I hope, Gaurav, by the way, that I'm one of those 30. Okay, um, because you have actually changed my life, by giving me some uh, direction when I really wanted at that time, and I'll be talking about that going forward. All right. Okay, so we'll start with this presentation and my journey. All right, so this slide is indicating we have to start. And when we start, typically I start with tea because it's around 4:40 p.m. And this is the time after I have had my lunch, I've taken a nap, get up, and now I'm ready to go. And this is, for all of you guys, if you have your tea or coffee, please take it, have your snacks with you because we're going to go through a memorable journey in the next 1 hour. All right. And I can't see you, but I would like to just keep on looking at the chat in between to see the energy because, Gaurav, by the way, when we used to do this kind of a forum in a hall or in a five-star hotel or somewhere, we always, I think whenever somebody enters, we used to always say, boss, chai lijiye, coffee lijiye, take snacks, take tea, coffee, and settle down. All right. So let's start the journey, which I would like to go through with you guys. So I'm going to take back to a particular event which actually changed the whole direction of my life. Okay. So this was mid January 2017. I was 50 plus age. I had turned 50 and I was sitting in a place called Lemon Tree. Some of you may know who have gone through coaching program. Lemon Tree Sector 29, Gurgaon, basement. And we were going through a program called the Art and Science of Coaching, right? That was being conducted by Inspire Coaching System, which is now called XMOX. And we had about 20 professionals, HR heads, country head, delivery heads, very senior 20 professionals sitting in the room. We had lunch just like around this time, around 4 or 5 o'clock. And we had two top level coaches, Gaurav and Polis is from Lithuania. And both of them were there. And Gaurav asked a question. Gaurav asked all of us a question. And the question was, I guess some of you would understand what I'm talking about, is who are you? So this question, when it popped up, everybody tried to answer that question, right? Some people said, uh, I'm a country head. Somebody said, I'm a HR head. Somebody said, I'm a delivery head. Somebody said, I'm a father. So everybody tried to give answer to that question, but it was not becoming clear what who they really are. All the answers which were being given were obviously wrong answers. And I was sitting and thinking, I am 50 years of age and I don't know who am I. That made me think hard, that where have I reached? And just like this guy is looking outside the window, I was thinking, where have I reached at 50 when I don't know who am I? And then on my way back to my home, it's a 1 hour drive from Lemon Tree, I started thinking back, what all has transpired in my life in these years. And my journey of uh, clarity started up from there. I started thinking of I started thinking of so my journey had started. So I started going back to the time when my career had started, and I reflected back to 1988 when I was in Delhi applying for the US visa. I had finished my engineering. I finished my engineering from Chandigarh, and I was had a dream to go to US for further studies. And that was the time when I was, at age of 22, you always have this aspiration to do something big, something different, and make your mark. And that's where I was at that point of time. And I was in Delhi with my uncle, who was a high court judge. And when I applied for the visa, I went to the visa office. First time I went, the person said, rejected. I didn't know what happened. So when I asked what happened, why I'm rejected, they said, you don't have complete papers. When I started looking at, okay, I don't have papers, let me go back and find those papers, right? And I went back, got my papers, went back again after 3 days to apply for the visa. Again, rejected. I didn't know what was happening. I was getting rejected by all these rejections. And the reason given to me was, Amit, you cannot convince us that you will come back. And I said, okay, let me go back. I went back to home, got all the papers, the financial papers, the FD that we had. My father had land papers, got money into the account, and then went back again to apply for the visa. The third time. Again, the person looked at the papers and said, rejected. Because they were not convinced I'll come back. I came back home. I was depressed. I was getting into a depression mode almost. But again, I took heart and went again for the fourth time to apply for the US visa because I wanted to achieve. I wanted to go to US. Fourth time I went, again rejected. And that was the moment where I thought everything is shattered for me. I've kind of lost the whole thing that I had plans for. I had no plan B at that time. Then a day before, but I wanted to just continue doing and trying it again and again. At that time, we could apply multiple times. So before going on the fifth try, a day before, evening before, before that, I was having dinner with my uncle, and he said, Amit, I was a typical introvert child, right? I never used to speak much. Like I'm talking to all of you guys, I was not like this that time, right? And he said, Amit, you are an introvert. You don't talk. You are not convincing people that why you want to go to US, right? They must be asking you a question. You must be just answering a question and answering in one line and stopping, right? I heard him. I had heard him many times. I ignored him and went again. I went again for applying for the visa. Fifth time. When I went there, this lady was sitting there, American lady, and she saw the papers, everything, and said, oh, it's the same inputs, same papers, everything is same. Nothing has changed. So I'm rejecting your visa. So fifth time, that lady, if you have been to US visa embassy, you would see that they would give this passport under the window, the glass window, and slide it in. And she was sliding that passport to give it to me with rejection. And my dreams were shattered at that point of time. I had no clue what was happening. But at that moment of time, something happened. I lost control for about 3-4 minutes. Okay. And I started thinking of the line that my uncle had said, that you do not say much, you do not answer, you're not able to convince, you're not telling them why you want to go there, right? And for 3 minutes, I babbled. I use the word babble because I don't know what I spoke. And I think I remember one line I did speak very clearly was, I want to go to US to bridge the gap between US and India. I want to go to US to bridge the gap between developing country and developed countries. And I kept on saying something, and this lady was looking at me, and people around me were looking, what is happening to this guy, right? He was a silent guy, now talking so much. And this lady said, okay, slowly, took back the passport and said, Amit, come back in the evening to collect the visa. I didn't understand. I asked again, what happened, ma'am? She said, come back in the evening, otherwise I'm going to reject it again. So that's what I did. I came in the evening, got my visa, and that was the moment where I had moved from up and down, right? I had gone from a shattered dream to being so joyful, so happy in my life I never had. I had experienced that in 5 minutes. And that was setting up a tone for me. And I was thinking of this event while going back in my car from Lemon Tree to home. And I realized one of the things which kind of is a trait in me, which is in me, is probably drive to achieve despite multiple failures. And that was also setting up the tone for what's going to happen in my career going forward. I would see many failures, failure, success, failure, and failure, right? I've seen so many times, and I was normally the guinea pig. I was the first one to go and try things out. Like even here, I'm the first one to come as a speaker, right? That was setting up the tone for my life. And by the way, after that, I went to US. I did my studies abroad, and 2 years later, I came back to India. I kept my promise to the person I don't even know. So from 22 to 24 years, that was where I spent in US, and came back and joined into the software company TCS. And from there, my corporate journey started, like a typical journey, starting from a developer to becoming a project manager, then leading multiple teams, business unit head, transition head, outsourcing work from US, UK, Australia to India, all that typical work that happens. I had done work with people from different countries. And I was 44. That was 2010. I was 44, and I was a country head for a tech company, which was probably the highest position I could have reached. Right? At that time, I felt there was still something missing. What was missing was I was still not satisfied. I was not having that inner fulfillment that I have achieved enough. There was some part of me saying that I have not achieved much. But what I really want to achieve was not clear to me. And that's the part which I was thinking of. I didn't have clarity at that time what I really want to achieve. Okay. So in 2010, then I started thinking I should do something different. I should try something. I've done my engineering, I've done my master's, but probably I have not studied. No, I have not studied enough. Maybe I have not done MBA. So I did from IFT, I did a 1-year program to learn about executive management part and international business. I learned over there. And then also I spent time going to many motivational talks, going to NASCOM events, TIE events, TEDx, right? Watched a lot of talks which were happening, plus also read books. So I read so much and learned so much. But what was missing was something I say, this was my first dot. There was some dots which were coming in my mind. In all this part, it was conveying to me that, Amit, you can achieve whatever you want. But what I want was not clear to me. But it was very clear. When I figure out what I want, I'll be able to achieve it because I had that drive to achieve it. right? So this was, I'm talking about here is my first dot. And I was thinking all this while going back from in the car from Lemon Tree to home, 1 hour drive. That was one dot which was coming up to me. The second dot which was happening to me was uh, I had a mentor and he told me once, Amit, connect with young people, right? And he told me why I should connect is because the CEOs of future companies would be young. They'll be in 20s, 30s, or maybe early 40s. And you need to have network with young people. You should be able to connect with them. I didn't have any. And I had at that point of time, I had gone and started going to co-working spaces, started mentoring some startups in 2015 or so. And I started enjoying working with young entrepreneurs because they were having this passion, energy, idea, agility, while I could bring from my experience, my knowledge, and my wisdom, and I could bring all this together probably. So this was like a second dot, emerging dot, but not connected dot. These two dots were there, but they were not connected. I could imagine these dots, but not sure how to connect them. And then there was a third dot. Third dot was I had exposure of actually looking at coaching. Okay. So 2015 or so, I had a coach assigned to me as a country head. And I saw in 6 months of my being a coachee from the other side, I saw a change in myself. I saw changes in my communication, leadership. Many things changed for me. And I didn't know why it was happening, how it was happening. But I was curious that there was something in coaching which was very interesting. And and I could see that coaching is actually effective to bring a change in a person. I had not seen any other tool like that before. So these three dots were unconnected. And I was thinking on my way back, what are these links? And there were many other dots, but these three were kind of, I could see at the top of my head, right? Uh, and I think I was probably about to reach home, maybe, 10 minutes before reaching home. I had this kind of a aha moment. Aha moment, in the sense, hey, I figured out, hey, I think I love coaching. This was the feeling of love that occurred to me at 50. So I got married. My wife, I love my wife. And after that, coaching came. And that moment, I felt, oh, I'm in love with coaching people, coaching young people whom I can help grow. And that connection was very interesting. I can even visualize when I thought about this. And that was the moment then I thought, okay, I should be a coach and coach young people. And after that, I left my corporate life. Uh, After that, by the way, this is the part where I decided to move away from my corporate life and become a coach. And I think in 4 months' time, after reaching home and finishing the coaching program which Gaurav had conducted, I left my corporate job, became a coach, started sitting in a co-working space and helping them grow. So that was kind of a career switch for me, which happened when I was able to connect that dot. And that was something I could see was an ability in me to actually connect the dots. Okay. So this is one very important part of my life, which kind of changed everything for me. And then from when I became a coach, very interesting thing happened. I was sitting in a co-working space and with a friend, and he asked me a very simple question. He said, Amit, are you an entrepreneur or a coach? Very important for those who are thinking of becoming a coach. Please listen to this very carefully. When he asked this question, are you entrepreneur or coach? I said, I'm a coach. And that guy said, no, you are a coach when you are coaching. Rest of the time, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you're running your own business. Even, for example, even now, when I'm talking to you, I'm not a coach per se. I'm not coaching you. I'm probably marketing myself and marketing X monks. All that is happening right now. I'm not a coach at this moment of time. And that realization, when it happened, it was started sinking in. Oh, I figured out I love coaching, but that's not enough. That's not the complete picture. There is many other things that I need to learn. And that made me nervous at that time, that I have become an entrepreneur or a coach or an entrepreneur. If it's an entrepreneur, then I need to learn many other things. And then at that point of time, I was looking back at my notes from, again, from the coaching session that we had when Gaurav was teaching us. There was one statement that said, get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think many of you may have heard this statement. So when I read that, I realized that I need to become I need to become comfortable being uncomfortable. Uncomfortable meaning here was, whenever you become entrepreneur, you are not only coaching, you are also doing marketing. You are supposed to do selling. You have to take care of accounts. You have to follow up with your prospective clients. You have to do networking. You have to do all the other things other than coaching. And I didn't know all that part that well. So when this thing came to me that I need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, I made it a point, and I do it even now. Even while talking to you, I am very uncomfortable even talking to all of you guys, because this is what I've spoken to like 137 people on a webinar when I can't see anyone, and most of the people I even don't know, right? It's everything is uncomfortable for me, but I'm trying to become comfortable, right? At that point of time, I started going for learning networking. I joined networking forum. I went for networking course. I learned marketing from a marketing consultant. I learned storytelling from a friend of mine. I learned about selling. All those aspects I started learning. And I was learning, by the way, while I was learning, I was also unlearning things. Unlearning in the sense, when you are in corporate world, you're running your business unit, or whatever you have, we are supposed to judge people, right? The role I was, when I was country head, my role was to judge who gets promoted, who gets increment, who stays, who does not stay, who gets hired, right? All, whether this initiative is passed or not, whether to approve some budget or not, all that part was judging, judging, judging. And when I became a coach, I had to unlearn all that, because as a coach, we are not supposed to judge, right? Uh, so there was a lot of unlearning I had to do. I had to stop doing things which I was used to, and that was the biggest, uh, I think, challenge that I faced in my life. And the fourth part I'm mentioning here is also learning new skills. And I was learning these new skills from young people, some who are like half my age, even less than half my age. I'm coach somebody who's 16 years, and I've imbibed something from there because they have some new ideas. I had to learn from young people and unlearn whatever I had. And that was my third trait, so to say, is a courage to unlearn and learn again. Courage was very important for me at that time, that I can let go of whatever I learned for 30 years in my corporate career and learn from those who are younger than me, who are less experienced than me, but they can teach me. Right? This was a very important aspect for me to even take it forward. When I cover about some of the framework that I do later on, this is something which I have kind of used in my coaching sessions as well. Okay, so this were three things which I got away from my life journey as such, which is ability. Well, one was to drive to achieve, very important despite multiple failures, ability to connect the dots, and third, courage to unlearn and learn again. Right. Gaurav, I think before this is my part for life journey piece. So if there are some questions, we can take it now, because then I'll move to the part two of the session. Gaurav?
Yeah, thank you so much, Amit. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. We have over 100 people attending this session live. So I'm sure you would have your own curiosity. There's something that you would want to learn, that there's something that you may want to understand from the master himself, right? So in case you've got any question, just type in the Q&A box so that we can grab it right now and move on. Fantastic. There's one question. Okay, so I mean, there's one question. A lady called Minal is asking that, when you were moving from something which was very well known to you to an unexplored territory, how easy, how comfortable was it, and how did the coaching program help you in this journey?
Oh, very nice question. Actually, uh, very interesting thing in coaching when we were taught coaching. The first thing which were told to us itself was, as a coach, you have to stop judging people. Your coachee and coach, the equation is of equal level. You don't look at coachee is below you or you're above, nothing like that. It has equal level. And then when I'd gone through the coaching program, in fact, I had started mentally preparing myself that I should not be judging people around me. And when I was even practicing at my office, I could see a disconnect happening in myself, that how is going to happen. But I was imbibing it; it was coming into my being, right? And when I became an entrepreneur, right, and I had to work with all these people, it was quite not easy, but I knew the path. I'd experienced it. Had seen the benefit of it, and I knew this is the best way to help somebody grow. So for me, that was coaching was the medium. In fact, I also did a course on design thinking. I did learn about networking, and all these networking and design thinking. When I did, there also they were mentioned the same thing: do not judge, do not judge, do not judge. And I think from coaching, I had got used to it. That made my life easier. If I not done coaching, I wouldn't have actually been able to become an entrepreneur.
Beautiful,
Does
Amit.
that
Thank
answer
you
your
so
question?
much. Thank you, Amit. There's another wonderful question by if I may, please, I'm just taking the liberty of taking your name as well. Maheshwari Jani, how to choose a coach training? How
How
to
to
choose
choose?
a coach trainer or a coaching school? What parameters you followed for that?
Oh, frankly speaking, um, I somebody recommended, and I'll tell you what happened. So somebody told me I wanted to learn coaching. I didn't know. I had no clue, by the way, what coaching was and which is the best company. So I talked to somebody, I think from Ericsson, from Gaurav's company, basically, and I said, "Nee, forget, you're telling me all this part, but I want to talk to the person who will coach." Right? They said, okay, there is a guy named Gaurav Arora, so you can talk to him. I said, okay, maybe. So I talked to Gaurav, and I think we talked for about 45 minutes. I asked all the challenging question I had, uh, and I was convinced, right, I'm going to go for this training. But by the way, for answering your question, don't worry too much about who's the best coach. You want to go there. If you want to become a coach, just find anybody and go for it, right? Because I've seen people, they have spent too much time thinking, I want to go to the best institute. Till then, they will keep on waiting, waiting, waiting. It's your life which is going away, right? Do not wait. Just go for it. What worse can happen? I mean, maybe you lose a little bit of money, but you'll gain if it works for you. If your life will change, like mine did.
There's another question. I don't know how to ask this, but the question is, what made you decide Gaurav is the person?
Uh, yeah, I don't know because I just talked to him. I met him only when the session happened. It was, I think, when I heard him talk, I could see he was very authentic person, very soft spoken, very authentic, and very open. Also, what may happen, what may not happen, and he did, in fact, mention to me, by the way, that Amit, if 20 people will come for the coaching program, only 2 or 3 people will actually become a coach because not everybody is able to take this journey, right? And he was quite transparent with me, very authentic. I think that was probably the reason I chose him, and probably he chose me.
Thank you. There's another wonderful question by Gunjan. And Gunjan is asking, from corporate to a coaching business, what would you advise as the first three important steps?
First three important step if you are in a corporate world and you want to get into coaching is, first of all, get a training about coaching. Read about coaching first of all, but it would be good to go for a training. That's one option you have. I don't say 3 steps, but 3 options. One is go for the coaching training itself, and that will give you a glimpse of whether you are meant for becoming a coach or not. Second is actually you can start learning and implement coaching while in your business, while in your corporate world. Now you can implement some of the coaching conversation with your employees there and then, and see how it helps you. There's a lot of soul searching you have to do on your own. That is it actually benefiting? Are you getting value from there, or you are just it's like any other no skill that you have learned. And third thing, what you can do is basically there are books available online which you can read. Even I think even Inspire Coaching have these. Ericsson International have 3 books. In fact, one person I was helping, he became a coach. He said, "I'm reading all the books that are there, released by Ericsson International, and after that, I'll decide whether to become a coach or not." Right? But it's very much internal journey, because if I want to become a coach, then there are many things have to change in myself. If I can't change myself, I cannot become a coach. If I do not have even clarity of myself, I cannot be a clarity coach, right? So there's a lot of inner journey you'll have to go through. So be ready for it. Don't be afraid. But by the way, it's not an easy journey to take. Just to let you know, like Gaurav had mentioned, not everybody becomes a coach after going through all the trainings. It's a hard thing to become.
Amit, there are 19 more questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a halt here because there's so many questions. Otherwise, we'll be missing out another very important chunk that you would like to share. However, there is a comment that says, I'm happy to hear from Amit on his journey from corporate life to now a full-time coach, right? I was hoping if Amit would talk about a process or methodology which he uses to continue to keep coming back from confusion to clarity. Lakshmi Kanji, definitely he is going to talk about that. And that's where we are moving on to the next one. However, there's one question which I think is extremely important. 4 people have asked this question. And the question is, what did you overcome in you to be able to switch from corporate to coaching career, and what all that you had to let go of? What was the unlearning process that you had to go through? So that's the last question. Then we'll move to the next part of the journey. Please go ahead,
Uh,
Amit.
yeah, unlearning was obviously huge, because earlier I had like 300 people reporting to me. I had to let go. I had to let go that I have people. I had to let go of delegation. I used to delegate work. If there's some admin issue, the finance issue, marketing messages, I would delegate. I had people to delegate. When you become a coach, I had to unlearn that. I said, "Oh, I cannot delegate because I don't have people, right? I'm going to be alone." So, biggest unlearning for me was from being supported by different people in the company, all support systems in place. I had to be on my own, right? I had to be on my own to see that I have to manage things on my own. If there was somebody puts a message on my landing page, I have to comment on that. I have to go and find that person, talk to the person. I have to do everything on my own. I don't have any person to do for me. That's one change. Second, I mentioned already, judgment. Stop judging people. That was the second biggest challenge I had to overcome. And third was on the financial side, right? Earlier used to be salary is going to hit your account whether you work or not every month. Now it's not going to happen unless you work and add value to other people's life, right? So I had to do all my calculation on financial side, that if I don't get clients, if I had nothing, what will happen? Can I sustain myself or not? So the third thing I had to let go was of looking at my account end of the month. Oh, a salary has come in, so I'm sorted. Now I have to go and ask for payments. I have to follow up. I have to do all those part with other friends, other admin person I have. But the thing is, I have to do everything on my own. That's ownership part, which I'll be covering even going forward, was the very important part. Because one thing you need to understand: if you have figured out what you love to do, right, what you really love, then there are many aspects that you have to, not you have to also love. Like, for example, I never used to love marketing. I never used to love networking, but I love to do that. I love to talk to people, do all that part, because I love coaching, and that has driven me to love many other things. So I guess I think I should have answered this question. If not, you can ask again, please.
This is good. This is good. So now, just adding further to this, there's one last question I would like to pick up. This is very close to what you're mentioning. Would you please explain unlearn corporate lessons? What does that mean?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Uh, Let me give a very simple example. So, in the corporate world, time was very important, right? If the meeting had to happen, everybody would come on time, typically, right? In the meeting, when I'm working with partners and all that, and I was used to it. And when I work with other trainers and coaches who are corporate, they are very particular on time, right? But when I started going and started coaching some young entrepreneurs who are just setting it up, startups, they didn't understand the meaning of this time, right? It will start on time or not, right? They were passionate. They would spend probably the whole day or something. If a 1 hour meeting can go for 3 hours for them. So they didn't get into that. So I had to get used to that. I had to put myself in a stream of whom I'm coaching rather than who I am, right? Or what my experiences are. I had to get used to the experience of the coachee. I had to learn and understand from their point of view. So that's one example I want to quote. Second example from corporate lesson was, like I mentioned again, delegation, getting people to delegate work, and whereas I don't have to delegate work, I have to do everything on my own. In fact, I'll be also writing some blogs later on about my corporate lessons, which may be useful for startups. But the point being, I could not go to a entrepreneur and show my 30 years of experience and say, okay, do this, because that was contrary to the coaching mechanism altogether. Because coaching tells, that's what we have learned is, let your coachee give the coachee a space to open up and share their journey, their belief system, where they are stuck, rather than you coming in the way. Do not come in the way of the coachee. And that meant was, even if in my head was some lesson was coming up, I know this guy is going in the wrong direction, I would still hold myself. No, do not intervene. The person is thinking. He's thinking. Let him think and find the way. Like, for example, once it happened, I was coaching and on time actually, and this guy is he's a doctor, and he said, Amit, I think I figured it out that I need 2 hours of my time in a day. And I asked him a question, okay, what action, when will you put the time? And he said, I think I'll do it from 11 to 1. I said, okay. I was making notes. Okay, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. is his me time every day. But he said, no, it is 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. because he's a doctor. He gets free late, right? Whereas from my own experience, I would never imagine somebody would do a me time in the night, but he was used to it and that worked for him. So many times I've seen when I was putting my corporate experience into the coaching conversation, it used to go all over the place. I had to stop that. I hope it answered the question.
Thank you, Amit. And there are so many questions right now. I've got 19 questions pending here and another 7 questions pending on the chat box. However, before we get there, you please go ahead and then we'll see that how best we can accommodate as many questions as possible.
Okay.
In fact, I've sent couple of very important questions on the chat box itself. You can answer them whenever you feel it's
yeah,
fine.
Let me just go to the next part. Probably that may also
please
help.
Go ahead.
Okay. So next thing I want to share here is about absolute clarity framework. This is something that I use in my coaching sessions when I do group sessions, one-to-one sessions. And this framework is kind of a work in progress always, but it's been inspired by three people or 3 organizations, so to say. One is obviously from ICF, International Coaching Federation, Ericsson, and ex-monks, where I learned about coaching. So obviously that is the core. The second inspiration I've got from this framework is from Sadhguru. I follow Sadhguru a lot. So I have listened to a lot of his talks and imbibed some of them myself. I had also done an engineering program earlier in Coimbatore. So that's my second inspiration. And third was from my experience itself. Obviously, I worked in for 30 years, so some of the experience also plays game here. And so this framework is about clarity, obviously. And clarity, just to let you know what clarity means. Okay, clarity means to see things as it is. As it is means as they exist, as they are. So for example, if in this room where I'm sitting, there are so many lights and all that, if there was no light and I was walking in the dark room, I would hit all these, I have the chairs and tables around me. I would be hitting them and probably cross the room, but get hurt on the way. But in case I put on the light, when I put on the light, I can see things clearly, and I can just navigate through this room very smoothly without hitting anyone. or anybody, right? So clarity came from the light, right? So this is important. These things were still there earlier, but I couldn't see them. But when I could see them, I could navigate through that very easily, right? So clarity also very important part in clarity. There's one another definition, so to say, I give about clarity is because opposite of clarity seems to be confusion. Like we said, confusion to clarity. But for me, confusion is not the opposite of clarity. Please listen to this very carefully. Confusion is not the opposite of clarity. It is the first step to clarity. Because those who are confused, that means they are looking for something. वो ढूंढ रहे हैं. They're looking for something. They like I was looking for something. I was looking for fulfillment, even though I had achieved so much in my life. I was looking for it, and I found it. Right. So confusion is not the opposite of clarity. Confusion is the first step to clarity. And when somebody comes to me and says, Amit, I'm confused. Will you coach me? I said, yes. That's the starting point. If you're confused, we have to first figure out what are you really confused about. Because we need to know first action I take always is get figure this out what you are really confused about, what you're not clear about, right? Get that sorted and then move ahead, right? So I'll be covering this framework with you. The intent of this framework is, like I mentioned here, um, is accelerate your growth seamlessly and navigate through life joyfully. That is the real intent of this framework that I'm going to go through. There are 5 concepts I'll be talking about. And the first concept is about time. Okay. So the first concept is about time. Time is what it means is what is taken away is not time but your life. This statement was very very interesting. I heard that in Sadhguru's video once, and it made me think, because most of the time we talk about time as how to get 2 hours of extra time, how to manage your time, how to manage your day, how to control the day. All that part we talk about, but that is not the part. It is actually your life. In fact, all of you who are attending today, if you are giving me 75 minutes, it's not 75 minutes of your time. All of you have given me and Gaurav and ex-monks 75 hours, 75 minutes of your life. 75 minutes of your life is so valuable. And if you think from that point of view, things change, right? Even now during COVID times, when we have so much of free time for us to do other things, do not waste that time, right? It is your life, this 1 month or maybe more that will be there. It's your 2 months of life which is going away. You need to figure out what to do at this point of time, right? And the real intent. So, by the way, in this concept that I'm talking about, I use 2 analogies here. One is something looking at external view, and other is the real intent, right? When I'm coaching and doing this program. From outside, I will say, okay, you will learn tools, how to control your day, manage your day, be more effective, delegate, how to delegate work and save time. All that part is taught obviously in this sessions. But the real intent, please note, I've written down here, is to structure and train your brain to decide the most important activities. It is basically, obviously, you all know that the brain is the most complex machine that we have, and but we can also train that brain. We can tell the brain what to do. If the brain is trained to identify what is more important, then it will work according to that. So the whole session is about, this one is about how do you make the train, how do you structure and train your brain so that it knows what's more important. So that's number one. And then I'll give an example. What happened in one case was, there was a guy I met him. He's an entrepreneur. He runs a design agency, and he was. I met him at Le Méridien Hotel in Delhi over a tea. And while having tea with him, he expressed what is his challenge. And his challenge was, first thing he said, very interesting. Amit, I am not coachable. I'm uncoachable. I cannot be coached. Right? I cannot change because I've tried multiple times. I've failed. And second thing was, I am unplanned. I am not able to plan my finances, my business, my work-life balance. Everything is not happening, and that is leading to him becoming stagnant in his growth. It was almost like, running on a treadmill. If you're running on a treadmill, after half an hour, you get down on the treadmill and you are still at the same spot, even though you're running, but still the same place. That's what was happening to him. And then I had sessions. He joined the program and had sessions on time to identify what is more important for him. And when I checked with him about I think 3 months back, he said, Amit, things have changed for me. I have bought a new car, which was pending for 2 years. He wanted to replace the old car. He was not able to do. He had started putting money in his emergency fund for his family. He had the cash flow for his business kept in place. And even now in COVID times, I think for next 3-4 months, he has money to keep on moving without any problems. Right? So I could see what had happened for him. He was able to figure out what is more important. Important being himself. He was also very important. He was doing everything on the business, on the product, on the service, on the client, but not about himself and his family. So that important, when he understood, his life changed. Okay. Moving on, the second, my personal favorite concept which I use is absolute ownership. Very, very important, because even during COVID time, it's so crucial. If you're running a business or you're running a company, everybody, all your employees, team are looking up to you. They are looking at, this guy will take ownership of the whole thing or not, right? What is going to be the decisions he will take? So they're looking up to you because you are the one who is responsible for everything that is happening in your company or your business unit and in you, right? Like sometimes I get people who say, my team is not working properly. I don't have a good team. But then I ask them simple question. Who hired the team? You hired the team, right? So you are responsible. You hired the wrong person. You are accountable. You are responsible. Now that you have hired a team and 2 of the team members are not working properly, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to train them, coach them, mentor them, give them all the support so that they can perform. Did you do that or not? Right? If you've not, then again, your ownership, your problem. Then, even if you have done all that part and still they are not working properly, then again, decision is yours. You can move the person to another unit, another part of the business altogether, or ask the person to go, or do whatever you want, right? But the decision and the ownership is yours. Do not say my team is bad. There's never a bad team. It is always bad leaders. We never have bad team. It is always bad leaders. So that's a part of absolute ownership, which I cover. And the real intent, that's what I've mentioned here, is once a person is able to get this, that I am the problem and I am the solution, then things shift. This statement is so crucial. And I'll give an example. What happened was I was coaching, not coaching, I met an entrepreneur who was introduced to me 3 years back by another friend. And we were having lunch in a Chinese restaurant in Gurgaon. And so it was an introduction meeting. And I asked him a question. So what are the challenges and opportunity that you have? It was about 11 crore company doing very well. And he said, Amit, the challenge I have is we could have grown 3 times faster and bigger, but we are not able to do it because my co-founder friends, 2 of them, are not ready to move at the pace I want. This guy was a very ambitious person, right? And he wanted to move at a speed of 200 kilometers per hour, but he was moving at 60 kilometers per hour, right? Because of his co-founder, and he was blaming the co-founder. And then after that, I understood, and then we went through the coaching sessions and all that happened. And this was actually troubling him so much that he was getting desperate. He was desperate to even exit from the company which he owned, to move out and leave everything aside. His was desperate also at home. His wife was not happy because this guy was working but not satisfied, not fulfilled. Again, I'm sure some of you would have seen this, also experiencing it, that you're working hard, you're working a lot, but not getting satisfied, not getting fulfillment. I have seen it myself. And that guy was also going through that pain. And Then I had some sessions with him. It was not still clicking why it was happening. Then we went out for a dinner once, and over a beer, I asked him a simple question. So, my dear friend, who is responsible for this mess? Well, so, who's responsible? And what are the choices you have? I think he had a drink, and after 5 minutes, he said, Amit, I think I am the problem because I have to take a decision, business decision, and I'm mixing it up between a business decision versus a friendship decision, right? Because if I take a business decision, I lose friendship. That was his dilemma because they were co-founders, friends, very close friends, and he was looking at or condition, no business or friend, business or friend. He was not looking at the and. It could be both. That was the solution which he came out with. I didn't tell him. He came out with the solution. He said, okay, I can ask one of the co-founder to go, but maintain the relationship, maintain the friendship, give him whatever money is required, give him all the support, get him a job, whatever is required, maintain the friendship, but not the business part. Business is out, right? And that was the turning point for him when he realized he's the problem and the solution, and there's no point of blaming others. Do not blame others, right? This is things after that, things changed for him. He was able to grow the company 50% more, hired new people, now doing pretty well over here. So that was a very important part of ownership, on absolute ownership. Third, Third was power of choice. Third, that I talked about power of choice. Very interesting part. This is again very important during COVID times. There are many decisions which are pending with us. Even now, if you're running a business or running business unit, there are decisions which are pending. Pending in the sense, should I shut down my business? Should I shut down part of my business? Should I lay off my staff? Should I reduce their salary? Right? Should I start a new initiative? Should I spend money on my marketing? Like Gaurav is spending money on his his ads everywhere on Xbox. It's a money being spent. A decision, very important decision during COVID time. Should I invest in marketing? All these are very crucial, important decisions. And until these decisions are taken, it creates a lot of havoc in your mind and slows you down. Right. So this part, the concept I talk about is power of choice. It's making decisions can be hard, and making the right decision can be harder. But again, this part, somebody comes to me at times and says, Amit, can you help me make a right decision? And I have to say, yes, I'll help you make right decisions. But that's actually not true. Because what is the real intent of this session and also this concept is this. Real intent is, please understand, successful people do not always make right decisions. They make the decisions and make it right. Very important saying that I heard and have imbibed also. It's important to take a decision and work towards it to make it right. So like, for example, somebody was asking, what are challenges you face after becoming a coach? You become a coach and make it right? You have to take a decision, make it right, because all successful people never make right decisions, right? They make a decision and then make it right? So this is a very important concept of power of choice. And one example I'll share, which was very interesting and very funny one also. So there was an entrepreneur running a marketing company, and I was doing a group coaching program. And a power of choice, this session happened. And this guy says, Amit, the choice which is pending with him is very interesting. The choice was, or the question was, should I get married or not? मैं शादी करूं या ना करूं? He was 29 years of age, a lot of pressure from home, from his mother and father. And he was in dilemma. He was spending 20-30% of his time thinking, should I get married or not? Right? And then I'd asked him, after that, we had a one-to-one session. And I said, okay, what is the problem in this, right? What have you thought of more options? What are the other options you have? I said, no, there's no option. I have to decide whether to get married or not. And I gave him an example. I said, hey, you're looking at a T junction. You're thinking you are at a T junction. If you go straight, you turn left, get married, go right, you don't get married. You're thinking you are in a T junction, but my dear friend, you're not in a T junction. You are at a crossroad where there are multiple options and you not explore them. if you have been, for example, if you've been to India Gate, no, you go to India Gate from Zakir Hussain Mark. Those who are from Delhi would understand probably better. There are multiple roads, that come on your side when you go around the India Gate. You get you'll get an Akbar Road, you'll get Rajpath, you'll get what is it, Ashoka Road, you'll get Mark, Copernicus Mark. You get multiple 10 different scenarios, 10 different options. So choose. There's not only two options. You're not at T junction. You're at a crossroad. And he said, okay, but what are there are no choices. I have to get married or not get married. Then I gave him some hints. What are the other options, right? So if you are interested, I'll just share some of the options which I shared with that guy. And he also kept on adding what are the options. So we came out with 10 options, okay? Let me just look at my notes side is 10 options. Okay, if you're making notes, this is very important and very interesting one. Is first option, get married. Second option, do not get married. Third option, get married after 2 years. Fourth option, get married after earning 50 lakh rupees. Fifth option, get married after finishing PhD. He was thinking of doing PhD. Sixth option, get married after going to Canada or Australia. He was thinking of settling down in some other country. Seventh option, live in. Go for live in option. Eighth option, live in for 2 years and then get married. Number 9, live in for 2 years and then decide whether to get married or not. And number 10, get married and decide after 2 years whether to stay or not with the partner. When these 10 options opened in front of the person, he immediately said, oh, I'm going to get married after 1 year, right? Very clear. He made a choice that for 1 year, I'll not get married. Very simple. And I know I have to actually go back and ask him, it's been a year now, or what is his stand now. But he was able to make a decision when many options opened up with him. Right? So that's the part of power of choice. And maybe this example may be helpful for others as well. Okay, moving to the fourth thing, very interesting one is on building lasting relationships. This is about how do you build relationship with your clients, with your family, with friends. It's very, very crucial as such. And also, especially during COVID time, this is the time for all of us to build relationship. We talk about social distancing, but no, we are connected, right? We are talking to each other. We're still connected. It's not social distancing. It is right now physical distancing. So what you can do is actually build stronger relationship with your clients, your friends, family, whom you had not talked to. You can pick up the phone and talk. That's the time to build. It's the exact time for building lasting relationships, right? And like Sadhguru said, when you begin to enjoy the uniqueness of life, oneness will happen. Why I mentioned this point is because the real intent of this concept is actually oneness. Oneness is probably, I would say, is a universal life purpose for all. We want to be connected. We want to be one. We want to be together. We want to help each other. We want to give, right? It's so, so important as such. It's like underneath everything that we do. So it's a very important part I do cover in this is about networking, how to do networking, how to build relationship with your clients, how to build relationship with client, all that part. But the real intent is oneness. And I want to just play a video here. Gaurav, let me know if you are able to hear this. It's a video by Sadhguru, about 1.5 minutes.
We have another 3 minutes, and then we'll take some 5 minutes on the question answer round.
Yeah, I'm just finishing in, I think, 2 minutes. Let me just play this video.
We are all unique. Each one of us different. And it's so wonderful that we are different. We may spring from the same oneness of our interiority, but as human beings, as individuals, every one of us is unique. We are different, that's what is beautiful about us. And the oneness is not yet in our experience, at least not yet in the common human experience. So at least let's enjoy the difference. If you learn to enjoy the difference, if you see that every human being is a unique human being, only once in the whole eternity, only once this kind of human being happens. You cannot find exactly this kind of human being anywhere else in the existence at any time in eternity, only once. That is true with yourself, with your friend, with your enemy, with your loved ones and the ones you hate. All of them are absolutely unique. Anything that you see as unique, you value it, isn't it? Anything that you value, you will have no problems with it. And oneness will happen out of that. If you begin to enjoy the uniqueness of life, oneness will happen out of that.
Okay, so that is about building lasting relationships. So I want to just play one video of Sadhguru, which I'm quite inspired by. And last one, this last slide I have is about, which I cover in my sessions. Also, the fifth concept is connect the dots, which I already mentioned to you. It's so important having ability to connect the dots, because you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can connect them to looking backwards. Steve Jobs quote, very important. But the real intent of this is very interesting. Is to learn about, and please listen to this very carefully. It's about learn about and from our own learnings. We forget what we have learned, and we are not even aware of our learnings. So in this session, we talk about what have we learned from life and how are you applying that. Those are your dots. Those are learning dots, like I found those 3 learning dots and they started connecting. So that's the part, the fifth one, which is connect the dots. And that kind of create a memorable story of your life by connecting the dots. So that's the key part in the last, which I do. But the overall intent of the whole framework is, like I mentioned earlier, was to accelerate growth seamlessly and navigate through your life, joyfully. So that's the real intent of the Absolute Clarity Framework. That's all I had. And yeah, Gaurav, can you take it away and ask questions, if any?
Thank you so much, Amit, for such beautiful wisdom and sharing your story from where you started to where you are. Such a joy listening to you, because I've seen your journey when we had our first interaction, then you going through the program and what you have been able to create. Hats off to you.
Thanks.
Now, here are many questions, right?
Oh my God. Okay.
Let me just start from here. The question is, so there are questions like, a very simple question: learn from young, why not from old?
Okay. So let me explain the definition of young. Okay, I didn't explain that. So earlier when I started off coaching, I thought young means less than 30 years of age, right? And because I learned from them. But then I had an opportunity to coach somebody who was 55, another one 58, and they had so much of energy and drive to learn and imbibe things what we're talking about. And one of those days I sat down and thought, oh, my definition of young is wrong. My definition of young is somebody who is ready to evolve, change, learn, has energy. That is young. It is not by age. Because when you stop learning, you stop growing. The day I stop learning, I'll be dead, right? So it is nothing about, so my definition of young changed. It's not about old. Old here I meant was who have stopped growing, who stopped learning, right? So I hope I answered the question. Very, very good question, actually.
Yeah, thank you. There's another question. The question is, what is the importance of getting yourself ICF certification, and how could your coach training program can help you there?
That probably, Gaurav, it's your call. The part for me was to get the certification was, I had learned coaching, but after learning coaching, if I don't apply for the certification, I would lose it. If I had to apply for the certification after 3 years, 5 years, I would have lost it. I would have forgotten all the things. So for me, it was important to take the certification at the time when I was fresh. It was fresh in my mind. But from a business perspective, it depends. It depends who is your target audience. So in case you are targeting corporates, and corporates, will pick up probably coaches who are ICF certified and ACC or PCC maybe, then it helps. But if in case you want to coach somebody who's a business owner or entrepreneur young, they don't care whether you have certified or not. And by the way, nobody, by the way, listen to this very carefully. Nobody buys the service of from me as coaching. Nobody comes and say, I need coaching. No, that's not what they're looking for. They have their own challenges. They are looking solution for those challenges. They are not looking for a coaching. They want to solve the problem. If they're not able to grow, if they're stuck somewhere in their business or in their life, they want to get away from that. That's what they're looking for. If I can provide as a coach, fine. If some trainer can provide, fine. If some mentor can provide, they'll go there. So please understand the importance of certification depends on whom you're coaching and the type of people that is your target audience.
Another brilliant question. I would love to address this. However, I'll leave it to you, Amit. Are the young coaches welcome in the corporate, or they need to have gray hair to be seen and accepted as a coach?
So I think there are two views to it. Obviously, gray hair helps, right? Because when somebody in corporate is going to decide who is the executive coach to be taken on board, that time experience helps, right? I've seen that happening with me because there's my gray hair, I'm 53, that has some benefit of getting in, right? But that does not benefit when you're actually delivering coaching, because that time you have to actually solve the problem of the individual. But to get in, the first entry point, it helps having gray hair. But then again, there was somebody I was coaching, and we was talking about a teen coach, and he said, "No, if I want a teen coach who is going to coach teenagers, the person should be in 20s or so. Should be young. Somebody at 50 cannot become a teen coach." So there, it made sense to me because I wouldn't be able to figure out probably how teenagers work as such. So it depends case to case. But if you're talking about corporate, I feel gray hair does help.
Thank you so much, Amit. I just love the comments that people are pouring in. One such comment I can see is that, and it, in fact, this reminds me of when I started my coaching journey 14 years back. And I was comparatively younger at that point in time. And I went to this gentleman. His name is Vikram Kaul, and I owe a lot to Vikram. Vikram is a very dear friend. He was working with AHL. And after going to this organization again and again and again, I said, help me understand, why aren't you guys giving me business? Because at one point in time, you were giving me a lot of business in training and facilitation. And this guy told me that, okay, let's have a cup of coffee. And then we started to have a cup of coffee. He said, look, guy, he said, look, Gaurav, what we are saying is we are looking for somebody with gray hair or no hair. Right? So guys, that was a journey 14 years back, right? If I could sustain in this market where most of the coaches are really experienced, the question is, the basic question you need to ask yourself, why is coaching important to you? Why would you want to get into coaching? If you have the clarity of why, what Amit was talking about, the intention, the thought, and your deepest why, if that is clear, then you just need to put yourself on a track that can provide you the best of the coach training understanding, right? You will find people who are doing their MBAs from ABC school in the outskirts of Delhi, in the outskirts of Maharashtra, in the outskirts of Bangalore or Karnataka. But at the same time, if there's somebody who's an MBA from Harvard or Wharton, what kind of value he would get in the system that he's just getting into that. So please, please, please choose a coach training institute that could actually help you to elevate your game to a very, very different level, right? Let's have the last question. And ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me just thank all of you who has given us some brilliant questions. So I would like to thank Rajneesh for a brilliant question. How does one identify clarity as niche? So what I can assure you is that because of the paucity of the time, Amit might not be able to address all these questions. However, what we are going to do is, what I was thinking is that we have to create anyways blogs or articles around all the different things that people might want to read about. Now the good part is your comments have given us a lot of information that we would love to write about, because you just need to go to our website called www.xpunks.com. go there and you'll find blogs very, very soon. So Rajneesh, thank you. You would like to know about the niche. Amitabh Jhaji, thank you so much. Where you are talking about the toughest part of Amit has also already mentioned, and the comment was establishing your credibility is definitely a challenge. Sumita Behel, thank you so much for your question. Srinivasa Rao, thank you. Deepak Deshpande ji, thank you so much. Pradeep ji, thank you. Hari Krishna, thank you. Richa, thank you. Nilesh, thank you so much. K Kumar ji, bahut bahut shukriya. Is there any limitation on age to start the career in coaching? My quick answer is no. Vikas Chandwani ji, thank you so much. Yes, he has mentioned his story, and he's always been very, very kind when it comes to sharing his story. Gunjan, thank you so much. Glad to know that you're already an ICF trained already. You want to start your business in this space. You may want to attend few of the webinars which is coming your way, because soon we'll be launching a program. There's a webinar coming to build your coaching practice. If not in this 7 days, next month we'll be doing this program. We have an anonymous attendee. How did you discover what actually you wanted in life? That's a beautiful journey. And when you come across coaches or mentors who can ask you some challenging questions, your life is not the same. Maheshwari ji, thank you so much. Poonam Bhan, thank you so much. Rahul, thank you. Rahul, again, thank you so much. Vijeta Bakshi, thank you. K Kumar ji, thank you. Amit Khare ji, thank you so much. K Kumar again. Dhaval, thank you so much. These are all people who are throwing a lot of questions at you.
Okay.
And more questions coming to you from Sarinath, thank you so much. Manish ji, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका. Amitabh, thank you so much. Pradeep sir, thank you so much. Parul Jha, thank you. Kamal Deep, thank you so much. Lakshmikant, thank you so much. Meenu Arora, thank you. Galaxy M30, thank you so much. Niti, thank you so much for a very simple and clear food for thought. Amit, thank you so much. Shubha, Pavan, Saloni, Surbhi, Arman, Lata, Preeti, thank you. Sri Lekha, Shriyans, Sumit, thank you so much, guys. It's overwhelming. So thank you so much. So here you have got, Amit, just 30 seconds to answer. How does a new coach build trust? Just 30 seconds in case you may want to answer, and then we're going to close the session.
How a coach builds trust is actually action. It's all about action, because what happens is we keep on learning a lot of coaching and other things, but if you don't act on it and then observe back, reflect back what you learned every day. Whenever I finish my coaching sessions, I reflect back what I have learned from it. And many times I'll tell you, my life has changed. Actually, my whole life has changed. My purpose of life was defined when after the coaching session, I learned and changed myself. So to build your trust is action. If you don't act, nothing will happen. As simple as that. And don't worry, there'll be failures which will keep on happening. But unless you act and work on whatever you learned, nothing will be there. Okay.
Thank you so much, Amit, for a wonderful, insightful, interesting, spicy, and yet light session.